Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Mueller.
And I'm Jackie Bishop.
This is Browns Insider with Bill Belichick, and we're getting ready for Buddy Ball.
That, of course, is Buddy Ryan here in Cleveland with the Arizona Cardinals. Jim,
Right.
I think that the stadium will be filled with the kind of energy that you have when you've got a division rivalry, the Bengals or the Steelers in town, because of the Buddy Ryan factor.
You know, everybody likes to beat Buddy Ryan because he's got such a big mouth.
And he's not the only one talking this week from the Cardinals. There's also defensive lineman Michael Bankson, who is publicly guaranteed to beat the Browns, and I think that ought to give our players some incentive. But you don't hear that often in the NFL.
You know, this game is tough enough, Jackie, without giving your opponent some extra incentive to beat you.
And the players, you know, they may be a little down this week because of that disappointing loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We'll talk to head coach Bill Belichick about the Steeler game, and yes, we will ask about Vinny's interceptions. And you know, I still haven't seen that holding call against Gene Williams that brought back the tying touchdown with a couple of minutes to go.
Well, Doug Deacon will be here, and he'll give us a scouting report on the Cardinals.
You know how competitive Doug is? I think he would love to line up out there against Bankston and the other Cardinals and do some yelling at Buddy Ryan over on the sidelines.
You're fired up about this game, huh?
You know, I am. I want to yell at him, too.
Well, one player who will get to go up against the Cardinals, of course, is Rob Burnett, and we will profile him on this show. We'll also reflect on the great career of the Browns' most recent Hall of Famer, running back Leroy Kelly.
And we've even got some advice for you husbands whose wives yell at you because you watch too much football on television. That'll come from Harley Tucker.
I can hardly wait.
And we've got lots of football, and we'll start by talking with head coach Bill Belichick right after the Bengals. Then in week 2, you come home to face the Steelers. Game 3, you've got Buddy Ball. Pretty dramatic business, week in and week out, isn't it?
Jim, dramatic, tough, exciting, but fun. It's fun to meet the new challenges every week, and there's always something to look forward to.
Bill, I can't imagine that it's been a fun week for Vinny. The 4 interceptions against the Steelers has brought a lot of criticism. First of all, does he deserve the shots? And secondly, how do you think he's handled it?
Well, I think Vinny's handled it well. We've had a good week of practice this week, and I think that the interceptions were a team thing, something that we need to have some corrections in all areas, not just the quarterbacking. And I think Vinny stepped up and done some things personally on his end to improve it, and I think the other people have taken some responsibility as well. You know, a lot of times a quarterback, when you lose, gets too much blame, and when you win, gets too much credit, and I certainly think it would be unfair to blame Vinny for this loss.
But how do you answer those that say, yeah, I know, but Vinny threw the 4 interceptions?
Well, he did, but he threw I'd say he threw the touchdown pass with 2 minutes to go in the game that would have tied it up.
Would have tied it at 17 with 2 minutes to go, but they got called back because of the Gene Williams hold.
Yeah, that was a tough call. But to answer your question about the interceptions, Jim, again, I think it was a team thing. There were protection problems, there were route problems, there were throwing problems. And, you know, the only thing we can do is go back out there on the practice field, get those things corrected, and I think it'll show up positively on Sunday against the Cardinals.
Okay, well, we're going to talk more about Buddy and his birds, but first, let's stop and take a look back at what happened against the Steelers on Sunday.
Woke up early, thinking about this.
Back to pass, throws, has Jackson out near first down territory. Testaverde straight back in the pocket. Little pressure, throws, middle, has a man there, complete. And it's big tight end, Walter Reed. Metcalf behind Vardell. Metcalf in motion right. Testaverde again, straight back, pocket, looking plenty of time. Throws, has Metcalf inside the 5, fights his way down to the 1-yard line. Vinny turned, fake handoff, wide open. Walter Reed, touchdown, Cleveland Browns. The Browns come out of the chute roaring and march right down the field for the score. Vinny did a nice job of selling the run. Straight back in the pocket, excellent protection. Looks, now dumps it off to Vardell. Sidesteps a man, takes it inside the 20 to the 17-yard line. 2nd and 10 Browns at the Steeler 18. Again, Testaverde straight back, has time, throws, complete to Jackson at the 5. He spins from 1, takes a hit, and is driven out of bounds at the 4-yard line. It's going to be a 24-yard field goal attempt into the wind by Matt Stover. High snap, ball down, kick is up, and the kick is good.
No big deal. If we throw the football right there, it's a sit on 92, okay?
1st and 10, Steelers. From the Browns 45, Foster takes it down to the 40-yard line. Play action now, O'Donnell looking middle. Now throwing corner, wide open, Yancey, Big Ben, touchdown, Steelers.
Hell of a job, man. Football right there. Coming back with it.
Baldwin takes it at the 16-yard line. 25 to the 30. 35, 40. Anderson to beat, still on his feet, 40, and finally ridden out of bounds. Pitches to Metcalf. They're going to reverse it to Michael Jackson. It looks like he wants to throw. He has two men wide open, left sideline. Let's not fight over the ball. Tommy Bardell threw his hands. Eric Metcalf standing right next to him. Could have been a huge play. Metcalf in motion right. Vinny straight back, blitz. Throws it to Bardell in open field. 40, 35 to the 30. Puts his head down, still on his feet. First down all the way down to the Pittsburgh 22-yard line. Carrier in motion left. Vinny rolls that way. He's got plenty of time. Surveys the field. Throws complete to Alexander at the 20 to the 15. This will be a 33-yard attempt for Matt Stover into the wind. He's 1 for 1. Kick is up, and the kick is no good.
Keep doing what we're doing. We'll be okay.
O'Donnell straight back in the pocket. Pressure, backs up, throws, middle. Complete to Big Pen, who did a great job of hanging on right in the middle of 3 Browns defenders. O'Donnell straight back in the pocket, has time, throws deep sideline, has a man there. It's rookie Charles Johnson, and he is down all the way to the Cleveland 12-yard line. Steelers looking to take the lead. I formation, hand off to Foster, head down, and he takes it across. We finally get a signal for a touchdown, and the Steelers take the lead. Metcalf goes in motion right. Testaverde straight back in the pocket, has protection, steps up, fires complete. Carrier in Steeler territory to the 40. Wrapped up immediately by Carnell Lake. Corner blitz, here comes Woodson. Nice pickup, Eric Metcalf. Testaverde with all sorts of time, throws an interception. It's picked off by Darren Perry, his second of the game.
Make sure you get that nice step right, all around break. When he's at home, go to where break is.
Buckle up the chin straps. Here we go. Bardell, the lone setback. Metcalf in the slot to the left. Testaverde back to pass. We have flags down. He throws middle. He's got Carrier there. Touchdown, Cleveland Browns.
They're going to call Gene Williams for holding.
And that is going to do it, folks. 34 seconds on the clock, and the Browns won't even bother to burn their final timeout.
Bill, what do you tell your team after a particularly tough loss like that one, especially when you've done so many things well? I mean, first of all, your defense, they held them all day. Your special teams gave you great field position every opportunity they had. And the Steeler defense never really stopped you except for the turnovers.
Well, I think you go back and tell the team the same thing we've been talking about all through training camp. Number one, we can't afford any penalties and give them second opportunities. Number two, we got to take care of the football. And number three, we got to get some turnovers and make that a positive factor on our side. But most importantly, I think the team's got to understand that Steeler game's over. We got to get ready for the Cardinals, and we've done that with a good week of practice.
Okay. If you read the Buddy Ryan profile in Sports Illustrated recently, you found out that Buddy Ryan thinks he's a pretty tough guy.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll see how Otto Graham showed everybody what real toughness is. Stay with us. The Detroit Lions, and if I'm not mistaken, his college ball right here in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's correct, Jim. He played at Western Reserve University, and his senior year in 1940 was actually Reserve's all-time best team, where they were ranked in the top 20 and went to the Sun Bowl.
Now, Hal Lebowitz, the longtime sports writer and sports observer, coached your dad, and he says that he was one of the toughest men, in a courageous sense, that he'd ever met.
Well, I found out at an early age he was pretty tough. And I think back in those days you had to be pretty tough to play because you didn't have the equipment, sophisticated equipment that the players have today.
That's true. Bill, you know, Otto Graham was not only arguably the best quarterback that ever played the game, he took the Browns to 10 championships and 10 championship games, but he was also one of the toughest guys around, and when you watch this, you'll see how Otto and the Browns helped invent a safety device for one of these back in 1953.
Right, and I can see why my dad's nose got broken 5 times when he was playing football.
You can tell.
Well, in the 40s and 50s, very few people wore a face mask of any type. So in this game, we were playing the San Francisco 49ers at the stadium, and Otto got knocked out of bounds, and he was going down. One of the 49ers come over the top of him, caught him with an elbow, and put 14... We had to put 14 stitches in Otto's lip. So after that, Paul decided that we needed some kind of a device that would protect the teeth and so forth. So we come up with this bar. The first ones we made were handmade. They were a little bit bigger than my finger, and they would break off from the helmet with a blow at 1,600 pounds pressure. In case you caught an elbow or something, the bar would break away. And the following season, when we insisted on the fellows wearing the bar, Chuck Noll, he wanted to take the thing off, and he kept pestering me. Finally, I said to him, I said, Charlie, if you want to take it off, here's a screwdriver, and he took it off. So we played the Redskins that Sunday. He and Abe Gibran pulled behind the quarterback, and one of them pulled the wrong way, and they met right behind the quarterback. Chuck Noll come running out of the game holding his mouth. He said, where's my mouthpiece? I need my mouth guard. I looked at his 3 teeth are gone in the front. I said, Charlie, you don't need it now. And he wore one after that. But for that 1 year, we had an exclusive on it. Nobody else could do it, could wear it. Then after that, Riddell started manufacturing for everybody and wound up that all pro teams, high school teams, because it was the first thing, it was reasonably priced and protected the facial area.
Well, I think a lot of people forget that Chuck Noll, the Steeler coaching great, was also a pretty good NFL player.
Chuck's a Cleveland native, and they played his high school football at Benedictine. And for Paul Brown, Chuck was a messenger guard, which meant that he took the plays from the sideline into the quarterback.
And like most quarterbacks, I think Otto resented some of those plays that came in from the sideline. Now, resentment is what a lot of us get at home when we try to watch too much football on television. I mean, there are some wives out there who'd like to grab that remote and take it deep.
Yeah.
Jackie, who's in charge of the remote at your house?
Don't bring it up, Jim. Sore subject. But here comes our resident comedian, Mike Veneman, who has little advice for all of us as Harley Tucker.
Hello, my name's Harley Tucker, and welcome to my truck. I'm here to talk with you about football. You know, guys, it's getting to be that time of year. You're sitting there in the lazy boy enjoying football in all its glory. Life couldn't be finer. And in walks your wife. She looks you in the eye and says, hey, you going to sit in that chair for the rest of your life, hanging onto that remote control? And you're going to look her right back and say, yes, I am. But you won't, because you want to sleep in your own bed. But then you realize, hey, I got to do something, you know, because there's some strain going on in the marriage here, football. And my wife, who do I choose? You don't have to. Here's what you do. Thursday, coming up soon, and we're going to play the Houston Oilers on a Thursday, not Sunday. Watch the Thursday game. Friday, walk up to your wife and say, hey, baby, Sunday, me and you will go to the mall. She'll have a fit. She'll pass out on the floor. But it'll help the marriage. See, because you take her to the mall. Gets to be about 1 o'clock. You're itching. You know the Browns ain't on, but somebody's on. You got to watch football. Go to one of them big department stores. They got the TV section set up there, and usually right across from it, they got the furniture section. Whip your lazy boy around. Get your remote control. I got me a good one here. This is a Nakamuchi 475B with turbo. Can change channels in 4 different countries. Take it with you. Sit there and watch all the games. Your wife, she'll be downstairs having fun. Got the credit card slumped over the counter, card waving in the air, yelling out things like, next round's on me, girls. Cliniques for everybody. Set them up. You'll be happy, she'll be happy, and your marriage will be saved. Take it from Harley. I know what I'm talking about. See you next week.
You know, Mike touched on one of the major issues in today's culture, Bill. Who gets to keep the remote? Who gets it at your house?
Well, usually my oldest daughter, Amanda. She pretty much runs the show on that.
All right. When we come back, we'll take a look at one of the best defensive ends in the NFL, and I'll give you a hint. He's had 18 sacks over the past 2 seasons. His scouting report on those mean and nasty Cardinals of Buddy Ryan. You know, Jackie, Buddy has said that Steve Berline will probably be his quarterback, but we probably might also see Mr. Schrader and Mr. McMahon.
Well, whomever he puts back there, that person is going to meet Rob Burnett. Rob Burnett's been meeting a lot of quarterbacks lately and catching many of them successfully over the last several years, and let's find out how he does it.
I think it takes, number one, you have to be in a certain size parameter, I think, number one. I think you have to be in a certain speed parameter, being able to run, and your athleticism, number 2. I think you have to be physically strong and mentally strong, because it's a tough position, it's a lot of running, it's a lot of beating on your body. I think you have to be in condition because of the running aspect, and if you want to play it the way it's supposed to be played, then you should be in condition. I think you have to have desire. I mean, coach that you gotta have the heart. You can't be a quitter. And you have to have kind of like a warrior's heart. You know, you gotta be able to go out there and fight and not worry about it and wait until the whistle blows.
In only his 5th season with the Browns, defensive end Rob Burnett plays the game of football with heart and determination. For the past 2 seasons, Rob has led the team with 18 quarterback sacks. Rob is influenced in many ways, but none so strong as the relationship he shared with his grandfather.
When my granddad died, my father's father, who I was real close to, and actually got me interested in football. I really wasn't interested in football. He was a big Jet fan. I mean, he had season tickets for the Jets for 20 years. We used to go to a training camp every year, which is right in Hofstra, Long Island. And, he got me into it. And when he passed, because he's always been such a strong man, he's always traveled, and he had cancer, and to see him deteriorate, and when he died, he was a shell of what he once was, you know? And, I mean, that really hit me really hard. And that might have been a turning point to me.
Do you ever get a sense that there's some presence of him?
Every week. I talk to him every week. I have his initials on my shoes.
Do you?
If you ever look at my shoes, I have GWB on all my shoes. My game shoes. That's my granddad.
What was his full name?
George Warren Burnett. And definitely, without question. It's funny you ask that because that's definitely true. A good day would probably wake up about noon. Maybe go. I'm really into working out now. I don't know why, but go get a nice workout in, a little sweat going, and we do a little fishing for a few hours if it's nice outside. And I don't know, just kind of relaxing because I don't have too much time too, especially during the season. I mean, it's pretty hectic. So, kind of quiet time to me is valuable now, and I appreciate it more than I've ever in my life. My favorite food is my mother's fried chicken. That's my favorite. I can eat that every time. It's not good for me, but it's all right. Most exciting thing I've ever done? Probably jet ski down the coast of Jamaica, about 20 miles, and ran out of gas.
Did you have a chase boat?
Nah, I was just on my own. I rented one and just took off. Didn't realize how much gas or whatever, I was just gone. And I was about 20 miles from where I was staying and started. I ran out of gas. I was about 30 feet from the shore, kind of got the boat on the shore. There was no one on the beach there. And I was just kind of walking around aimlessly, didn't know where I was going, didn't know anybody. So it was fun, it was exciting.
What did you do?
I eventually flagged down a car and got to a gas station, got a little gas can, filled it up, and went back. Yeah, but I'm not gonna, I mean, like I said earlier, my goal is to help our defense be the top defense in the league, and with that, we'll win a lot of games, and with that, the personal things will come,
Was that sort of a, you don't like to make goals public, like kind of...
That was one of them, yeah. But it's still there. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, so enough.
Jim, Rob Burnett is, of course, like Tony Jones, one of the Browns' young veterans who they managed to sign before free agency began this year.
Jackie, I think that was a very wise decision because I agree with Rob. He's on the verge of being a Pro Bowl player, and personally, I think he should have gotten that consideration last year.
Well, when we come back, we're going to meet one of the Browns' former players who went to 6 Pro Bowls in his time with the Browns and follow him through his induction into the Hall of Fame.
Browns against the Cardinals because, quite frankly, they need to win at home. And it should be a very physical confrontation against Buddy Ryan and his players. Frankly, Jackie, wherever Ryan has coached, his players have a real reputation for rough play. But there's another reason that this is an important game.
Well, that's right, Jim. This is a chance for the fans to salute the Browns' newest Hall of Famer, Leroy Kelly. And Leroy will be joined by other Hall of Fame running backs, Marion Motley, and also Jim Brown, and will receive his Hall of Fame ring at halftime.
Let's take a look as Leroy enters Pro Football's Hall of Fame and hear from some of his teammates, including Paul Warfield, on this inside look.
I congratulate these 6 outstanding contributors to the National Football League.
Leroy Kelly, the Cleveland Browns' 8th-round draft choice from Morgan State.
Well, Leroy Kelly and I came in together in 1964. It was a big year for me. It was a big year for Leroy Kelly, and it was certainly a big year for the Cleveland Browns. He knew it would be difficult to make the football team. We had two excellent running backs in our organization, and Jim Brown and his running mate at the time, Ernie Green, who was a very versatile performer and a tremendous blocker. And his career got off to a little bit of a rocky start because he sustained an injury very early in the training season of his first year. And we used to kid him about it because he was literally scared to death that he was going to be cut from a roster.
When I got to camp in July, an unfortunate thing happened to me. Third day in camp, I think it was that Thursday, I pulled a hamstring. And two people that was very instrumental in helping me was our trainer, Leo Murphy, and Jim Brown. Jim Brown persuaded Blanton Collier to let me rest my pulled hamstring, which is not very normal for a rookie.
I think every team looks for its draft choices to commit to them quickly as possible and to be supportive and to help win ball games. Leroy established himself quickly as one of the top return men in pro football. He played on the various other teams. He showed evidences right away that he was a running back who had a future.
It's just exciting just to be on the same team with such a great running back as Jim Brown, and one of the greatest that ever did it, you know. So I was very excited just to be one of the rookies that made the team that year.
Leroy had to wait his time, but in the meantime, in waiting his time, he established himself right away as one of the most feared return men in the game, leading the league in punt return yardage. He is also a very adroit kickoff return person, and he played on all of the kickoff teams, punt teams, and made a real contribution.
During his rookie season, Leroy Kelly's punt return of 68 yards against rival New York helped pave the way for a 42-20 win at Cleveland Stadium. Leroy's 74-yard dash versus the Broncos still stands as one of the longest returns in Cleveland Browns history. Ex-defensive tackle and roommate Walter Johnson.
The main thing he had going for him was his quickness, and like Leroy hit the hole faster than any running back I ever seen. I know Gale Sayers was known for, you know, really hitting that line of scrimmage real fast, but Leroy, I think, was in a class of his own. And also, once he, you know, got by the line of scrimmage, he had great moves, and I think that's what really made him successful overall, because basically, you know, he wasn't really a strong running back, but he had the moves, and when he had to run over someone, you know, he would do it, you know. But basically, he just used his, his quickness, and his moves. Leroy had some of his best games, you know, when it was 2 or 3 inches of mud out there on the field. You know, a lot of times, like in the morning, I would look out the window and say, Leroy's raining. There would be a big smile on his face, you know, and he would go out and, you know, gain 100, 200 yards. But for some reason, you know, I guess the rain brought the dust out of him, you know, but where everybody else is slipping and falling, Leroy is going full speed.
They say I was a mutter, you know. They said I had my best days on a wet field, you know, so I had pretty good balance, you know, and it helped me out a lot. But I used a longer cleat when the field was kind of wet, you know, and it helped me.
Among Leroy Kelly's numerous achievements, he was the National Football League's rushing leader in both 1967 and 1968, running for over 1,200 yards each season. Leroy also led the league for touchdowns scored with 20 in 1968.
I'm going to tell you, the one game that I remember the most is the game that I started. I only started one game with Jim Brown, and that was against Pittsburgh. It was a night game on a Saturday night, and it was a
raining, you know, cats and dogs, as they say. And we won in like the last 10 seconds. So that was pretty exciting for me.
Leroy Kelly, the 13th Cleveland Brown to be enshrined into Pro Football's Hall of Fame.
Last but not least, Art Modell, I want to thank you for always running a first-class organization, the Cleveland Browns organization.
Fans who wish to pay tribute to Leroy Kelly still can, because there are tickets still available for the Browns-Cardinals game. I'll be there.
So will I.
And we'll be back with Brecksville and Ohio State's own Tom Tupa.
Plus, Doug Deacon's scouting report on Buddy Ryan's 46 defense. Wanted to best in the NFL this year.
Well, it's a story of backup NFL quarterback becoming first-team punter, and here's Tom on the whys and wherefores of punting in the NFL.
Unique qualities. Obviously it's a little switch from quarterback last year, so I think teams will be more conscious of the fakes and you know, running out of the pocket and doing all that. So might put them a little bit on their heels and limit the rushes sometimes if it's in the back of their head. You know, you have to be consistent. Obviously, have to have a pretty good leg, and your times have to be pretty good also. So all three of those, I think, go into making a good punter. Just work on basically everything. You know, tying everything together, and you know, just get a rhythm going and consistency going, and that's the key to it, basically. Oh, obviously being down at the end of a game and running a fake, and either, you know, throwing it for a winning touchdown or something like that. It's always, it's probably everyone's dream, probably Stover's dream also, to catch one from me. So something like that would probably be very exciting for everyone. You know, it's nice. You know, it's something I always have. That's something that can't be broken or anything. So, you know, I always have that and something to look back on.
Jackie, did you see who Tom followed into the end zone there for those 2 points? Big number 77, tackle Orlando Brown, all 6 foot 7 inches, 330 pounds of him.
Hey, even 6'4" Tupa could get lost behind the man teammates call Zeus.
You know, back in the offseason, Zeus was doing squats with 960 pounds, and he really wasn't doing it with a lot of effort either.
Well, as the story goes, he was putting on 1,000 pounds just to be able to say that he did it. And Brown's strength and conditioning coach Jerry Simmons saw him and said, whoa, don't need to do that. You won't be up against anybody in the NFL who weighs 1,000 pounds.
Since you mentioned Coach Simmons, here he is, along with Joe Kim, with this week's tip on shaping up.
This time, Joe and I are going to show you a great exercise for the chest that you can do at home. But first off, you always want to start out with a couple good stretches, and Joe and I'll show you those now. First, you want to have your thumbs up just like so, and pull back gently till you feel the stretch, and then Joe's going to pull forward to a 3 count. 1, 2, 3, relax, pull back a little further. 1, 2, 3, relax, and one more time. 1, 2, 3. The second stretch is behind the head here. Pull back on the elbows slightly, pull forward, 2, 3, ready, squeeze, 2, 3, squeeze, 2, 3. As you can see here, we're using a power push-up board, but it's not necessary to have this. You can do it without. We're going to start inside, as you see here with Joe. We're going to do 5 different hand placements with it. With his back being flat, as you see here, he's going to come down and touch his chest, and all the way up, extending his elbows. Now, say that you can't do a regular push-up. Go to your knees and go down and extend all the way up. Okay, let's move ourselves out here, Joe. Again, as we move ourselves out, we're going to change our hand placement about 1 inch each time. And as you can see here, it's going to start working different muscle groups as we go.
You know, Coach, at each position, how many reps
What should I be doing?
Okay, you want to start out looking at 5 reps per position and working your way up to 8 to 10. Okay, that's good, Joe. Let's go out to the very outside width here. Now here, what you're trying to do is make sure you're as wide as possible with it. And again, we're working a lot of different muscle groups that will surround the chest area. That's good. This is a great exercise that you can do at home, that you do not have to have a lot of equipment with, and I hope it works for you.
Coming to town, they've got Buddy Ryan. They've lost their first 2 games, and they've got a defensive tackle who has guaranteed an Arizona victory. Your reaction?
Well, I'm pretty sure that our players are well aware of Mr. Bankston's prediction.
You're pretty sure?
Well, I'm positive. I made sure they're aware of it.
Might.
But, you know, I think this is an important game for us because we want to get back on the winning track, and it's against an NFC East teams, and all of our division opponents play in the NFC East this year, so this is an important game in the standings.
Bill, when you think of Buddy Ryan, you think of the 46 defense, of course. Has his defense changed much through the years?
No, it really hasn't. Buddy's defense, he's doing a lot of the same things now that he did back in the 80s with the Bears, and I think what Buddy did basically was when he changed teams, he just whited out the team name at the top of the notebook and put in the new team. When he left the Bears, he put in the Eagles, and when he left the Eagles, he whited that out and put in the Oilers. And then last year, he whited out the Oilers, and now it's the Cardinals.
All right, well, let's go to Doug Deacon now and take a look at our preview of the Cardinal game. And this is a throwback game, meaning that the Cardinals are going to be wearing a replica of their 1920s jersey. And
Wasn't that Doug's rookie year?
I think that was his rookie year in the league. Watch this.
Well, this week, the Chicago/St. Louis/Phoenix, I guess they call themselves the Arizona Cardinals, are coming to town. First time the Arizona Cardinals have been here. And it's a throwback week. They're going to wear the 1920 Chicago Cardinals uniforms. Well, if they're the real men Buddy Ryan says they are, they won't have any face masks, and this won't be made of plastic. But Buddy Ryan, he's the story in himself. We want to make sure that Buddy gets a chance to use his entire vocabulary before the game is over. Buddy's a pretty hot-tempered guy. Now, we know, Coach, you're friends with Bill Parcells, and in the pregame warm-ups, make sure you got your left hand where you can get it up in case Buddy wants to throw any of those good right hooks he's known for. I know every week the coach prepares for everything, but one thing he doesn't have to prepare for this week is the run and shoot, or as Buddy Ryan calls it, the chuck and duck. But which quarterback? That's a different story. It might be Berline, it might be Jay Schrader, or the man with the Pluto or Roussel earring, Jim McMahon. On offense, they've changed to the 2-back set. One of their favorite plays, the lead draw play. Here the running back comes up. Now the linebacker has to come up and meet him in the hole, and the defensive end has to keep outside contained. The Giants do a very good job. In fact, they make them put the ball on the ground. In the passing game, let's go to the telestrator. They'll let Louis Sharp go one-on-one. But inside, Dye, Tucker, and Cunningham, these 3 guys here, they don't play very good in space. So they'll have the center always helping out. If we can make these people play in space, then we can be effective. As far as their running game goes, we'll go back to the telestrator. Moore here was a 1,000-yard back as a rookie. Actually did better than Hurst. But they don't get the edge very well because the tight end who comes across in motion can't secure the corner like Walter Reeves did when he was there. Here you can see the Giants are able to string out this play and force him back into the middle where the Giants are waiting.
Bill, let's cover some of the points that Doug made there. First of all, how's your defense?
Well, I think I'm okay on my side of the field. It's the other coaches on Buddy's side that I think need to be worried. I think I could see him sneaking across the field at me.
Okay. Now, he mentioned the quarterbacks, of course, Berline, McMahon, and Schrader. Who are you going to face, do you know?
Well, I think we got to be ready for all 3. I think Buddy, likes Schrader and would like to get him in there when he feels like he's ready. Of course, Berline's been playing, and McMahon's been with him before, so we need to be ready for all 3 guys. But I think that the main thing with the Cardinals is whoever the quarterback is, it's the same type of offense, and they run the same plays. They try to keep the other 10 guys the same.
All right, speaking of plays, the draw play, one of their favorite running plays, obviously doesn't always work.
Right, well, but it's a big play for them. They got Centers and Moore and McAfee, and those guys all do a good job on the draw play, and it's good against a team that has good pass rushers like we do, and he'll use it to keep us off balance. It's one of their favorite plays.
Now, let me ask you about the combo blocking Doug mentioned there. That can create some problems for Michael Dean Perry up front, right?
Right, well, they'll try to use 3 to pick up 2 inside, and a lot of times they will double-team one of the tackles. We'll have to take advantage of that on the outside with our ends, Burnett, Pleasant, or Footman, whatever the situation is. and try to get some pressure there on their offensive tackles.
You know, when Doug was doing that, I was just thinking, isn't it like an old lineman? I mean, they've got 3 receivers out there who can each catch 60 balls, and he picks 3 interior linemen to talk about.
Yeah, right. Well, that's typical of Doug. You know, last year they had Gary Clark, Ricky Prohl, and Larry Centers all had over 60 catches, and they were, you know, 4th in the NFL in scoring and 2nd and 3rd down conversions, so they can move the football.
All right, now we mentioned their running game. Moore, of course, 1,000-yard rusher, but they have a little trouble getting him, especially outside these days. They don't have Walter Reeves anymore.
Well, right. Walter was a big factor last year in the Cardinals' running game because he was able to capture that edge and let him stretch the plays. And he's a very difficult, those big tight ends that can block are difficult to find. And I think that he'll be able to add that same type of dimension for us. And I think you're right. I think that has hurt him a little bit.
All right, let's go back now to Doug and see what he has to say about Buddy Ryan's famed defense.
On defense against the Giants last week, in the second half, they went to the bear, or as Buddy Ryan calls it, the 46. Let's go to the telestrator and see what it's all about. Here you can see they've got 8 men around the line of scrimmage. Makes it pretty tough in there to run the football. Outside here, you got a defensive end and a tackle here, another tackle here. And this guy, Eric Swan, number 98, he's a pretty good one. Over the tight end, you got a linebacker, Seth Joyner. And outside, you got Wilbur Marshall, a couple Pro Bowlers lined up side by side. Here you got the middle linebacker, Eric Hill, he's good, and Lynch, the strong safety, comes down in the hole. The idea is just to wreak havoc and get through these gaps as soon as possible and try to get to that quarterback here before he can get rid of the football. With a penetrating defense like the Cardinals run, one of the keys might be to take advantage of the new rule. It used to be the offensive lineman's helmets had to be right here on the center's numbers. Now you can go to his belt buckle right here. And when you have a penetrating defense, that extra 3 or 4 inches makes a big difference. So if Steve Everett can keep his pants down a little lower without dropping trowel, he'll be okay. And by the way, Jim, will you talk to the coach and see if he can give me one of those outfits like Buddy Ryan wears, you know, with a hat that looks like a snow cone and it looks like a children's art card down here? That way I can wear it on Halloween and scare the trick-or-treaters away.
Bill, if Doug's looking for a Halloween outfit, why don't you give him one of those headbands you wear on the sideline?
Well, I could. I've got a couple extra in.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the rule changes as far as the alignment is concerned. That does give you some advantages in the 46 defense, doesn't it?
Well, it does, Jim, because the 46 defense is predicated on attacking the line of scrimmage and getting penetration and fouling up the whole offensive system, whether it be pass protection or running plays. It's based on that penetration, and that extra 6 or 8 inches gives the offensive line a little bit more time to recognize and get in front of the penetrating people and try to seal those gaps off.
There's no doubt the 46 defense can create a lot of chaos, but I've also seen it burn several times with a big play.
Right, and I'm sure we'll have some opportunities for big plays against the Cards, and we plan on hitting them.
All right, good luck against them, Coach.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, let's go to Jackie now and see what we've got in store on next week's show.
Thanks, Jim. Next week, we'll bring you a story that we've been working on here for a couple of years about some of the Browns' most outrageous fans. We'll profile Eric Metcalf. And remember, there's plenty of tickets left for the Browns-Cardinals game, so get down to the stadium and you can see Buddy Ryan's team and pay tribute to Hall of Famer Leroy Kelly. Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Browns Insider. We'll see you next week.